I have a question.
Rahul, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your reporting. I really appreciate it. It's really nice, very informative. You mentioned in your comments, that the agricultural workers and the farmers have kind of united in this pushback. I was wondering, has there been any pushback, any resistance to that unity between farm workers and the farmers? Is my question clear?
Yeah, it is. Thank you for your kind words. And yeah, so I'm not suggesting that there has been a perfect unity here. What I'm trying to suggest is that there has been a space that has got created in the face of larger enemy. So the real pushback here is from the very detrimental laws, like from these black laws. And I mean, it really is dependent on how these farm laborers are educated about the kind of losses that they're going to face. So if I have to talk about the kind of losses that they're going to face, it's about, then I have to touch upon food security. So for instance, the food that was being distributed to the category that these farm laborers fall under, that is below poverty level. So they could acquire grains for really cheap because of the public distribution system, and that is PDS. So that gets affected. Now it is, so there is a there's a kind of a space where the Jat farmers, that is the landowners, have a way of convincing in their village to their Dalit landless workers that you're going to face a situation, your food security is going to get affected. So, you know, it is your struggle as well. So there's so the pushback is from the larger enemy, is what I'm trying to suggest.
Mm-hmm. Is there a pushback coming from below? Like as far as, you know, the idea of having unity with your oppressor, so to speak?
There is a kind of resistance at uniting, at attending any of the protests. There is a kind of resistance, which I have spoken to organizations, the Khet Mazdoor organizations, and I have kind of tried to even understand why are they resisting to join the protest. And it like I had tried to explain, there have been bitter standoffs in the village, which has remained, and they do not want to unite, or they do not want to fight. But there are these others. There is a catch to this. Soon there are going to be elections. There's a ground level mobilization happening by the incumbent government, and there is a chance that they would go and spread false propaganda that, you know, these bills are only going to affect the bigger farmers. You Dalit farm laborers are not going to gain anything out of it, so come on to our side. So there is some such campaigning that's going on, which is very much undercover. But the Dalit organizations know it better for themselves, and they know where they stand. So yeah, but this is just a piece of information. I mean, as far as the resistance from their side goes, yes, it does exist. I wouldn't deny. But overcoming that and seeing a common cause here and joining the protest is also not their cup of tea, because financial conditions don't allow for such kind of participation, because they are dependent on day-to-day wages. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. There is one question coming in the chat from Sulagna. It's about how are the participation of farmers and farm workers from not just Punjab, from other states. Because there is this notion that has been pushed forward, and especially by the state also, right? That it's only farmers from Punjab are participating. So how do you, what you have seen covering it on the ground?
Yeah, so there has been massive participation from other states as well. For instance, there has been massive participation since day one from Haryana. So you can, I always came across slogans like Haryana, Punjab, Unity, Zindabad. So further, after 26th of January, a lot of participation was visible even on media from UP, that's Western UP. A lot of them came to Ghazipur border because there was a threat that Ghazipur border would be disrupted, police would flush it out overnight. And so there's a lot of participation from Uttarakhand, and recently a huge Meena community from Rajasthan decided through a Mahapanchayat to attend the farmers' protest. So there has been constant participation from all of these North Indian states. They have planned this overnight and have started moving towards these borders. So there has been tremendous participation from other states.
So there is a question from Abid Qureshi. This about the larger enemy is the capitalist class, and we have seen farmers and workers, like industrial and laborer, uniting along with soldiers. Qureshi, Abid Qureshi mentions that they belong to International Communist Workers Party. So the question is, what do you think about the outlook of communist organizing this?
So I was totally avoiding this, you see, because I feel like so many of these organizations have they have a line of ideology which comes from so many splinter groups of communist parties that exist in India. So it's hard for me to understand what is their line, what is their party line, and what is, even if I know that somebody is from New Democracy, or somebody happens to be from Naga Reddy line, or, so these party lines do exist in these farmer organizations itself, and they do operate. I do not belong to a communist workers party, so that's why it becomes hard for me to sort of understand the party ideology, but I know that they're operating on the field based on this, right? Because the way 26th January was carried out was totally dependent on their party lines. Whether they carry out a repression, they do not carry out, or whether they become part of repression or they do not become part of repression, how do they take forward the struggle? How do they carry out their political education on field? So all of this is dependent on their party ideology. So it becomes very important to sit down and to look at their party ideology, which they definitely borrow from the left. So yeah.
There is one question coming from Sornam, and it's about from some soft Sanghi social media. There is this talk taking place that it can be the state, the Indian government can exempt a few states and let the farmers bill get effected in other states. So in a piecemeal manner, it will implement, so that it, in a way, by dividing giving it a national character of farmers protest. Will the protesting farmers accept such a divisive solution, or fight to the laws, and when the law is completely repealed in a pan-India manner?
Okay, so I'm going to combine the last question and this. That is, there's Boni who asks, what are the farmers and their supporters talking about when they spend so much time? And that's how I gather whether they're going to accept divisive solution or fight till they get the complete loss. So one thing that you gather when you talk to these people, when you talk to the protesters on site, they tell you that they are here until they have not completely repealed these laws. They're not going to accept. They're not going to accept any proposal from the government. They're going to just stick all the way till October. It has been announced by Ticket, one of the rising leadership at Ghazipur border. The one thing they constantly tell you is that hum nahi ja rahe hain ji. That means we are not going back until and unless we have repealed the laws. And you should see the way the government talks happen. If the government tries to, take them round and round about explaining particular clauses, and they try and tell them, we could work around this clause, but what you're asking for is not acceptable to us. So they just simply put up a placard that says yes or no. Are you going to repeal or not? So they just want simple answers. And to a community that understands in very simple format, all they know is that they're not going back until unless they have completely gotten this these 3 farm bills repealed. Yeah.
So there is a question from Kanak. I would like to actually read them out quickly. So we have seen from the social media that the nails were installed by the government and the internet shut down. So the question 1, what is the current status now that these road blockers and the of roadblocks and internet access? Are the farmers backing off or moving forward? And the third question, I'm bunching it together. The recent international attention on this protest is encouraging to farmers. What's the current mindset of farmers who came to know that the larger Bollywood and cricketers betrayed and diminished the farmers' protest?
So, about the kind of support that they haven't received from the Bollywood community, I think our farmers organization are pretty intelligent enough to decide for themselves, and at this point of time to understand and know who is on their side and who's on the side of the government, the present government. So having simply the immediate response that you must have noticed was to the international support that we received was quickly producing some songs. There is Diljit Dosanjh who made a song on Rihanna. So there is quick cultural production. There's a quick posterization. So the site is full of posters in support of for the positive support they have received from the outside. And then there are a lot of memes that get circulated within their own groups as a result of resistance towards Bollywood. So I mean, it's in the development, like it's developing still. They are still trying to understand who these people are, because they do not know them really. We just know that it's an international support that has come in. A lot of them are hearing these names for the first time. So, but then, we know about Sachin, we know about Akshay Kumar. So these guys are definitely going to, face a lot of wrath in terms of how public speeches are made, or how the content that they produce may be received. I mean, it's so dynamic. It's all left to be seen now, like how things pan out. Seriously. But I hope people soon realize who these people have been, who have given some kind of international support to them. So the realization has to seep in anytime soon, actually. Yeah.
So there is a question from Akilat, and it's about what kind of support the rest of the world or from the NRI will the farmers' protest get? With that, I'd like to just add one point, that just to be clear, that it is individuals have been supporting, whereas the US State Department, IMF, they're openly supported the farm bills, right? So basically, the statement also, the fight is separate. But how do you answer what kind of international support do you expect from, for example, from the diaspora?
So from day one, like you also mentioned, there has been a lot of support from NRIs. There's a huge NRI community that is Punjabi, is residing in Canada, is in US, and in different parts of the world. So it is problematic to send to send money, and the organizations that are dealing with AIDS and which are trying to provide things like blankets or putting up tents for farmers for free, so or for even food for that matter, they do not deal in they do not take direct money, because then their role gets questionable. But so what I have heard from some organizations that run on field is that they request these people to somehow buy those blankets and then pass it on. There's that aspect which comes in about how foreign money can be accepted by the organizations or not, because later on there'll be a lot of retrospection as to how was this channelized, and they could come under some kind of scrutiny. So that is why also channeling it through family in terms of it's not being, this is the kind of support that they have received. They've received things in kinds, like they're actually goods that come in bulk to these places, rather than dealing in cash or having a bank account. And I'm not sure about how the farmers organizations are receiving funds. Now, that is a very private matter, which I haven't really explored to understand what funding are they receiving. Are they receiving it from outside? Because given the current regulations for receiving foreign money, I know it's gotten very, very strict. So circumventing that and getting foreign funds is something to to deeply look into. Yeah.
So Iceman is back. Could I please request Iceman, if you could ask your question now? You could try unmuting yourself again.
Yeah.
Okay, good. In the United States, about 40 years ago, there was a very large movement of farmers, smaller farmers, usually called here family farmers, and they occupied Washington, D.C. and brought all their tractors and tore up the parks and such. And they had a pretty militant protest. And the result was, well, that they lost, right? That is, and I think that this is an illustration of a dynamic of capitalism, that it destroys small farmers and offers them no future, right? The family farms in the United States are largely gone. They only exist for a few niche products. But that the situation seems to be that this movement is being led by people, roughly speaking, family farmers, who want to preserve the class structure that exists. So they're not looking beyond capitalism. In fact, they don't want to even make wage concessions to farm workers or to Dalits. So it seems to me that this is a movement that might get the government to take back the laws, but that it has no future within the framework of capitalism. And I wonder if there's anybody who's saying that in India, and what do our speakers think about it?
So this is a very pertinent question, and this has also been the deciding factor for a lot of left organization to openly support the ongoing struggle or not. And So yeah, I mean, definitely it goes back to the whole logic of preserving the class structure that already exists. And um, uh, so why are then we trying to support this particular protest when it is going to keep those class structures alive? This is something which we need. I mean, because from my experience of being on the field, I feel like there the social structure or the social fabric of these communities that are protesting are learning on the field on how to make demands, how to fight for your rights. So in a way, I feel like there are so many loopholes in their in the feudal structure that already exists, but to be able to come together with I mean, with whatever, I mean, like not political backing, but I mean, for a large number of days, this was seen as not a political movement. It was seen as a farmers organization movement. So, I mean, it shows how it could sort of pave a way for the Dalits in the community to learn how to put forward their demands, to learn how to organize, and to learn how to fight by expressing solidarity today. I mean, nobody's asking them to do this, but if they see something that's useful, it's for them. I mean, I have heard of how in some villages, they're fining people if the family is not sending somebody to the protest site. So there are these farmer organizations which are recognizing these problems right now and are trying to go back to these villages and talk to the panchayat and tell them that you can't do this. You can't fine people. This is the protest cannot have these regressive elements coming in. Also, what's important to take note of in this whole struggle is that fascism is present not just on the outside but also within. Again and again, they have been labeled as Khalistanis who are trying to, propel their own agenda of having a Punjabi state. So I think both the classes, like both classes and the castes that exist, they have a common cause there. They need to thwart these fascists that live within the society. They have to get rid of the very extreme kind of religious propaganda that is being, which is trying to again and again enter the movement through the back door. So there are these common grounds on which they could fight out I mean, yeah, this is still, I mean, it is outside the capitalistic framework, but these are little loopholes that exist and it needs to be fought out. I'm not sure if I entirely answered your question there.
Thanks, Jennifer. Would you like to also, we are actually on time, right on time. Would you like to give some closing remark and how do you, what do you expect from the movements to go and what's your hope and fear from the covering this movement? Your closing remarks.
Yeah, I just would like to suggest that we should have a follow-up of this. Maybe we could again have a discussion on this later, because it's very important to understand the dynamics of this movement. It can have an implication on how other societies are leading struggles or can lead struggles. So we could have like a common platform where we could talk about the technique to carry out a struggle, or when in the face of a fascist government. So yeah, so I think we should have a discussion also in future. Yeah, so that is my suggestion and remark as well.
Thank you, Jennifer. We have not gotten to some other questions, but I'm sure we'll continue this discussion. And in just short time, you managed to actually present a really solid overview with all the contradictions.
Yeah.
And to all the folks listening, I remind again that on Thursday, February 11th, we have another program coming up by Professor T. Ramakumar, and again on February 18th, another talk by A. Simpson of AIK SCC. Okay. Thank you, folks, for tuning in.
Thank you for inviting. Bye.